it's very exciting. We're the only team from the Philippines that qualified in the World Championships.
We knew we had the potential in us to eventually make it to Worlds, and we were very proud of that.
꿈이 같기 때문에 일단 다 같이 꿈을 이뤘다는 점에서 너무 행복할 테고 만약 할 수만 있다면 진짜 행복할 것 같아요.
It's the third time I qualified for Worlds under 3 different teams. Every player who's playing League of Legends would like to attend the Worlds finals.
We're here to play World Championship. I really want to be in Staples Center and hear Gambit chanting there.
Welcome back to the Season 3 World Championship live from Los Angeles, California. I'm Rivington Biz in the third, hanging with Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kensler, and we've rotated our dual lane to the Analyst desk for the second half of the day. Joining us at the desk is OGN caster Monte Cristo, Evil Geniuses support Crepo, and Counter Logic Gaming's Double Lift. We've already had a great time here at Worlds, but if you're just tuning in to the broadcast, let us bring you up to speed. Today we're kicking off Season 3 World Championships with the group stage of the tournament.
Over the next 7 days, 10 teams will battle to join North America's Cloud9, China's Royal Club, Korea's Najin Black Sword, and Taiwan's Gamma Bears in the quarterfinals. The 10 teams were divided into Group A and Group B, with every team in each group playing every other team in their group twice. Earlier today, we had the first 5 matches of Group A, and spoiler alert, we're about to give you the results.
Absolutely. After their win over SKT, OMG is sitting on the top of the group, of the standings, with a perfect 2-0 record, while Lemon Dogs, SKT, and TSM are sitting at 1-1.
And in last place for now, it's Gaming Gear EU. But there are still 6 more games for each of the Group A teams, so this race is far from over.
Yes, there is, and it is now time for those teams from Group B to take to the Rift for the first games here at Worlds. The 5 teams in that group are the European champions Fnatic, Europe's third-place squad, Gambit Gaming, Southeast Asia's Mineski, North America's Vulcan, and Korea's Samsung Galaxy Ozone, the team formerly known as MVP Ozone. All right, so now that you know the teams, let's talk about the games. Out of those 5 squads, gentlemen, which 2 are most likely to advance to the quarterfinals? Monty, take it away.
Well, of course, my first pick is going to be Samsung Galaxy Ozone. I think they're a strong favorite in this group. But this group is a little harder to call for the second-place team, but I find it very difficult to bet against Gambit. They may not have looked the strongest in the EU LCS summer split, but when they have a chance to boot camp, we've seen the great things that they can do. So I'm going to have to go with Gambit for my second.
All right, so going with Gambit over Fnatic. Crepo, your decision?
I'm going for Ozone and Fnatic, and I might even give Fnatic a chance to get first in this group.
All right, why is that? Why do you might give them a chance?
Fnatic is a really annoying team to play against if you've never done it before. You can read up on it as much as you can, but they have this really distinct play style, and Pekka just performs on lands really well. And I think if he gets momentum going in the group stages, he can do really, really well.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
As everyone said, Samsung Galaxy Ozone, it's pretty hard to argue. They are they will make it out of this group. But Vulcan is my pick, not only for the NA Pride, but also I think they're really great at getting ahead early. And that's just something, like, when they don't get ahead early, they lose, but they always get ahead early.
Right. You know, I got to agree with Double Lift here. Ozone first pick, and then Vulcan for the second pick, just because the reason they get ahead early is up to Xsmithy, the most improved player in North America, pretty much as a whole. And, you know, he's just done such a good job having an early effect, kind of like we just saw from Loveland in the last game. And I think that he'll be able to do that again.
All right, so we're finally getting a little diversity here. We got 2 EU, 2 NA coming out of the top 2 to finish for these guys. All right, so now that you've heard the picks, give me your choice for a dark horse. So you guys, you've heard each other's picks there. What are your dark horse picks? Crepo?
I'm going to be for, since I didn't pick Gambit and I picked Fnatic over him, it has to be Gambit. As Mona said earlier,
okay,
you can never rule them out when they boot camp. And if you do that, it's going to come to bite you. So definitely my dark horse being Gambit.
Nani?
Well, I agree with Crepo. I think Gambit, and they're coming out as a third-place team from Europe, and so they are a bit of a dark horse in this group, but they always deliver at these international lands. And
so this is why you choose them kind of top and your dark horse.
Yep.
All right, we'll have to see what works out.
I mean, this scary Russian boot camp that everyone's talking about actually is very effective. They always come out and they perform when it counts, and that's also due to the tenacity that all their players have. people talk about, how Darian will die and then die 5 more times because he doesn't care. That same tenacity, like, they will play through every game, no matter how far they get behind.
Russians never surrender.
Exactly.
Why would you if you have built-in tenacity? I mean, come on. That's an awesome stat to have.
Well,
Double lift.
I'm not sold on this Gambit hype train like you guys are. I think.
All right.
I think Gambit's play in the LCS is a reflection of how they're going to play here today. And honestly, my dark horse is Mineski because I think people are going to underestimate them and treat them lightly, and they're just going to like randomly upset some teams.
Do you have any teams you think they'll upset? Anybody that might be able to get the edge
My
on?
money is that they're going to upset Gambit just to make you guys mad.
All right, well, one of the best things about Worlds is that we all get to see the teams and players that we don't normally get to watch live. So which players in Group B should we pay extra close attention to coming into this one? Double, let's start with you.
Yeah, so in the inner circle of NA pros, ManCloud is regarded as probably the strongest and most consistent mid. He's like underexposed, he's not very popular, but people respect him as like the best mid, and I think he's going to shine.
I think there's a lot of people outside your inner circle that also agree.
Yeah, that's true.
Toy Cloud is pretty
Crepo,
good.
what are your thoughts?
I mean, as a bot lane player, I'm going to be watching a lot of these bot lanes here, and I think Imp is going to be the player to watch in this group. He has a really strong AD carry, especially looking at how other teams have a little bit mismatched bot lanes that recently got some replacements going on. Gambit's not been the same throughout the season. Fnatic's not been the same throughout the season. I think Ozone is just going to wreck some bot lane faces.
And while I agree with the imp pick for sure, for me it's Diamond Prox, because if Gambit is going to be the dark horse here, you got to look to Diamond. And for a clutch team like Gambit, Diamond is the clutch king, right? He always makes the big plays in LAN, so it's going to be critical for him to do well for Gambit to succeed.
A lot of love for Monty in Group B here for Gambit.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love Diamond, and as every jungler should be watching Diamond, I have to go with Xpeke here. And I'm kind of sad that Crepo let me down, but going with Fnatic's mid laner, their team just puts so much money in his hands that he can come out with plays that other people can't pull because they don't have that much money.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for the picks. Those actually putting us all around the map, so you're giving all the viewers something to watch in every single lane for every single game. And we'll get to see those guys in action in just a couple minutes as Group B takes to the Rift for 5 games today. Up first, ManCloud leads North America's Vulcan into the Rift to take on Xpeke and the European champions Fnatic. Then EU's second Group B squad, Gambit, throws down against Southeast Asia's Mineski, and after that, Korea's Ozone looks to knock the air out of Vulcan.
The last 2 matches in this incredible day of action feature Mineski taking on Fnatic, and in the finale, it's a showdown between Gambit and Ozone.
All right, and all day long we've had these 3 guys at the desk predict the winners of every match, and it's that chance to happen again, guys. So we're going to be you'll be taking over Freak's spot in the standings for the second half of the day as well. So you got to remember
I got you. I won't let you down, Freak.
Let's take a look at how you guys have been doing so far. Everyone at the desk is sitting in first place, as we said before the break, with a record of 4-1. The viewers are on 1 game back at 3-2. So you guys have been doing quite well, but you're also bandwagoning on each other, so no cheating in these next ones. Pretty impressive, though, so far. Now it's time for you guys to gaze into the future one more time, and we're going to pick the winners of Group B. So up first, it's Vulcan, and its 2 LCS record holders. We have ManCloud and Bloodwater versus Europe's MVP mid laner, Xpeke, and Fnatic on that side. So, Kobe?
You know, I picked Vulcan to get out of this, and I think that Vulcan can take down Fnatic. They've had so much time to see this Fnatic style that everyone says is so distinctive. I feel like Bloodwater and Vulcan have had enough time to come up with a counter.
All right.
I'm going to say Fnatic with this one. Doublelift always says how Vulcan is really good at getting ahead early. Fnatic is actually really good at playing from a loss, and they can stall games in the mid to late game really hard and just do some weird stuff. And even when they're behind, they will hide in that brush with 5 people and just pick you off. They're really annoying to play against, even when you have a lead. And I just think, as a team, they're going to be more solid than Vulcan.
And I agree with Crepo here. Fnatic's playstyle is so unique. It's not really something that you can practice against unless you play in that region, so it may catch Vulcan off guard. And again with Crepo, Vulcan has a notoriously weak late game, so if Fnatic can take it there, they can take it home.
All right.
You know what? Screw you guys. I believe in Vulcan. Okay, like I think they've been practicing their inability. They're called Vulcan throw bargains for a reason. Like I'm gonna be honest, they can't close out games. But I believe that in these last 2 weeks, practicing for Worlds, they have fixed their problem.
You know, Manny, that's a very good point as well. These teams get to watch each other, but they don't get to play against each other. It makes a big difference. So the second game in Group B features Gambit, tied for 3rd place at last year's Worlds, versus a bit of an underdog, in this group. Southeast Asia's Mineski. How do you feel about this, Monte Cristo?
Well, I think if Mineski is going to take games here at Worlds, they're going to do it through surprises and unorthodox strategies. Unfortunately, Gambit is extremely good at reacting to surprises in games, so I take Gambit here.
All right, Kobe.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take Gambit too. Mineski's an underdog for a reason here. They just don't have international exposure. I think it's going to be hard for them to pull this one out.
And if I voted with my heart, I would say Mineski just to make you guys pissed. But I got to vote with my brain instead for the statistic thing. So I vote Gambit because they really are a rock.
Wait, earlier you said...
I know. Maybe next game.
If Mineski can pull a game off someone here, the dark horse,
next
game.
It's
going to be Gambit.
Next game, dude.
Okay.
He never specified which game it was.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough.
I have to agree with Gambit. Like, you can throw curveballs at any team, but Gambit will just not care. They will just play their own style, and hopefully, for Europe's sake, it will pay off for them.
All right, guys. Our third game pits one of the favorites to win this group, Korea's Ozone, against Vulcan in their second match of the day. How you feeling about that, Crepo?
I'm going to be an Asian fanboy here, and I'm going to go for Ozone.
Locking down the Ozone pick. Kobe, how do you feel?
I have to agree. I'm going with Ozone. Definitely the first thing that jumps out at you when you're looking at this entire group is the bottom lane discrepancy of power. Ozone's bottom lane just looks really, really scary right now. And all the other teams that have been placed in this Group B seem like they've been kind of off lately. Add into that Ozone are using a sub-top laner who has a lot of hype around him. This Looper guy we don't know a lot about. I think he's going to perform well.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, I agree with Ozone as well, but I've never seen Looper before. He's never played in Champions in Korea, so he's a big X factor, but I'll still take them. And to add on to the bottom lane, I also think, as much as Xmithy's improved, there's a mismatch in the jungle because Xmithy is still pretty much Dandy light. So
okay, so
good joke, dude. Xmithy is just as good, if not a little better than Dandy. I think Xmithy is so good.
Oh, so Peter, you didn't make it to Worlds, so you're practicing your stand-up career now?
Oh, man.
Are you practicing your Korean national bannerman? My vote's also
Coach
on
abuse.
Ozone, though. My vote, honestly, Ozone's the better team. There's only one answer to this
just
question.
likes to
It's
argue.
Ozone. But I just think Vulcan has some good players, too. You can't discount them.
All right. Well, that was definitely heard. And we have these guys. You've heard what your predictions are, but now we want to hear yours. So hit us up on Twitter and tell us, who do you think is the strongest team in Group B and why?
So we're still at LOL Esports, and be sure to use the hashtag Worlds. We'll be reading our favorite responses later in the show. And if we pick yours, then you're going to get a Logitech G602S gaming mouse.
Then head over to lolesports.com and pick the winner of each of today's matches. There's 5 left. Just click on the schedule in the top right, go to day 1, and vote for the winners. Vote for the winners. And remember, you're competing against these guys at the desk, so vote with your brain and not with your heart. Double lift. All right, guys, we've got to take a quick break, but when we return, it's ManCloud and Vulcan facing off against Speke and Fnatic in our first Group E battle. The Season 3 World Championship live from Los Angeles. We'll be right back. Don't touch that browser.